Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. You're watching Full Spectrum Survival. This is the information that you need to know. We're going live with an emergency broadcast here. We have the President of the United States of America calling that the enemies against the current Trump administration are acting in seditious behavior. Now, sedition is a crime that in the United States of America is still, to this day, punishable by death. Now, I want to show you a little bit about what is going on. We're going to take some call-ins here in just a couple of minutes, but not quite yet. This is U.S. Code 115. This is the influencing, the impeding, or the retaliation against federal officials by threatening or injury or anything else. Now, they say that assaults, kidnaps, murders, attempts, conspires, kidnappings, murders, threats against law enforcement. Each one of these things, according to current understanding of the seditious laws, each one of these things is punishable literally by death. Now, there was some information going out today that the President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, has called for this type of arrest, seizure, prosecution, and potential death penalty against everybody who is trying to go against the immigration enforcement and the new moves that the Trump administration is making. Well, thank you guys all for being here. You are watching Full Spectrum Survival in a special emergency live show broadcast. We've got people popping in from all over the United States of America, including Corbs in from Dallas, Texas. Lakeland, Florida is Kevin Hawthorne. Lots of people coming in from Las Vegas, Nevada. So thank you guys for each being here tonight. We are watching some really crazy things happen as the United States of America takes a pretty dangerous turn in the grand scheme of things. So the violation is a threat or a threat to kidnap or murder, impede, intimidate, or interfere with an official. That could be anybody. Let's face it. It could be any politician, with a judge, or with a law enforcement officer that is engaging in the performance of official, especially federal duties. Now, Donald Trump was, of course, holding on to this card because as soon as the left side of politics started calling for attacks against ICE and attacks against immigration officials, that is a very dangerous move. Now, we saw mayors in California cities saying the gang members should be protecting their turf against federal officials. We saw people in North Carolina saying that they observed what was happening by the administration as being a instigation or a starting period of civil unrest or civil war. So these are definitely a little bit of a changing time here for us. I want to go ahead and open up. Let's go ahead and open up the live show to some, let's see, it says I missed a call. Got to link a device here. I want to open up the calls to some viewer broadcasts. It looks like I missed a couple of messages, a couple of calls. Let's hope that we can get somebody in here very soon. We can discuss this. Welcome. You're on the air with Full Spectrum Survival. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
I'm doing real good. What area of the U.S. are you calling in from?
I'm from Sturgis, South Dakota.
South Dakota. Glad to have you here. Do you think that anything that has happened so far this week, including today's push by Donald Trump for seditious charges, do you think that that is a turning point, or do you think that's more of just the same that we've been seeing?
Yeah, I'm starting to think that it's more of the same that we've been seeing, to be honest with you.
Okay. What makes you kind of like get that idea?
Honestly, the reason why I called was to tell you that last Thursday, we actually lost power. 11 counties in the entire state of South Dakota went out.
Okay.
And then all the several surrounding states went out. And we lost power for 8 hours. It was pretty crazy. but and it really didn't make any news channels or anything. And I just thought I would share it.
You know, that's
Um,
a good thing you called in, because I had messages from a couple of other people in places like Texas, Dallas, Texas. There were some other states up in the Northeast. They had a very
mhm.
similar experience. They were losing power, and it was affecting tens of, and in one case, hundreds of thousands of houses, and it was completely brushed under the rug.
It was. I felt like it was. We lost power for a little over 8 hours at my business. I own a business in locally here in Sturgis,
Oh,
and
nice.
then at the house, and yeah, and then I started calling people. Started going further and further out, and then I realized the whole entire state was gone. So then me and the wife went into our plan, and like, hey, we need to pick the kids up from school because we didn't know what was going on.
Okay, fair.
Um, and picked the kids up and started kind of gathering the family together. And then we didn't find out till the next day that they said the reason for the power was possibly some of these solar flares.
Okay, that's
And
interesting. There were some people in the live chat right now that were saying the same thing. They thought they may have been triggered by the solar flares. And maybe
mhm.
we're just not being told how potentially close to the edge we are.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. In conclusion, they said that what caused the outage was a major explosion at one of the substations in Wyoming, which
Okay.
I'm 26 miles east of the uh, South Dakota border.
Okay.
So it was pretty interesting. And it was a good thing. I mean, it was kind of nice that it happened just because it was cool to see that the family followed our entire preparation, for emergency, and actually it went fairly smoothly.
That's awesome. So is this something that was kind of on your family's trigger list, that, hey, if something like this happens, we make the plan, we pick up the kids? Was it already there, or was it spotted, on the moment?
Yeah, no, we had a plan for that and several other things, so we just followed our protocol, and everybody did it, and we kind of came together and was like, hey, we did everything right, as far as we can see.
Okay.
So it was a good thing, I thought. So it was a good test run, I guess you should say.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's always good to see when your plans for something to happen come into, like, they just work, and they work well. Was there anything that you had, any road bumps or any hiccups, or did it all go pretty smooth?
No, it went pretty smoothly. I pretty much within about 5 minutes of the power going out, I already knew that the entire state was out. My son goes to school about 18 miles from me,
Okay.
so I got in the pickup and traveled up, got my son, and then kind of everybody kind of met in the middle,
Nice. That's awesome.
back at houses. And
Now,
then we were trying to gather. Go ahead.
did the school let the kids out because of the power outage?
Yeah, by the time I got there, they were already talking about an early dismissal.
Okay.
But they had not gotten there. I just requested to get my son out of school, and obviously they gladly did it.
Yeah.
But I found out about 30 minutes later they were letting the kids out.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that your plans were not only necessary, it also didn't cause you chaos. I know a lot of people don't want to think about all of those, even the small things that can happen, but when it does, it causes a lot of chaos because they use avoidance behavior to not even
Yeah.
understand that that can happen.
Yeah, I have an 18-year-old son. He's a senior in high school,
Awesome.
and I called him before I left my shop and said, "Hey, don't panic or anything. Everything's good.
Yeah.
I just need you to gather your things and quietly leave the school." And he's like, "Why?" And I said, "Just tell him you have a doctor's appointment, meet at the house,
Right.
and and stuff." And he's like, "Well, the power's out. Why?" And I said, "Hey, listen, just listen to me. Come
Yeah.
home."
Yeah, exactly.
And
Because you never
yeah,
know. I mean, it could come right back,
exactly.
or it could not come back.
Right. And, my biggest thing was I didn't want him starting, panic at the school and stuff. I just said, "Hey, it's time to come home." And, just we'll meet there shortly.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so it worked out. It was very smooth. And I was really proud of everybody that, there wasn't many, we just all met there without, with minimal questions, and everybody did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's awesome. I really appreciate you calling in and giving testament to why preparedness is so important.
Yeah, I appreciate you answering the call and taking the time to talk to us.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Big fan here in South Dakota. I've been watching you from the very beginning, I think. And yeah, you keep doing what you're doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I hope you have a good night tonight.
All right. You too, Brad.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. That's awesome, folks. When our plans really come into order, that's the type of preparedness that really matters, because it means that you and I can not have the stress that maybe the neighbors have, or the other family members have, because they are unwilling, at least at the time, to wear the burden of responsibility. Go ahead and fire this back up. If you guys have any questions or comments, you want to just speak in from your area, call the number on the screen. It is 470-784-1717. We're taking live call-ins on Full Spectrum Survival. Okay, so this sedition talk that Trump is pushing for, the punishment of sedition, what they're really trying to do is make it so that not just the people in the streets, because that would allow, if they can push charges against the people in the streets because they're throwing bricks at ICE enforcement or ramming their vehicles into ICE enforcement, that's one thing. It's a whole other thing if the current, more right-leaning government can push charges against other politicians. And that's where we really get into that area. And I know that you guys saw recently the kind of wild mayor of Chicago, where he said, one, he asked the United Nations to get involved in the Trump administration. He said that the UN should actively participate in the United States of America. And then at the same time, we had Mandami over in New York City. He was pushing for international rule. And what they push for international rule is that the United Nations will take part in New York. The United Nations will, take part in all these other points of law enforcement inside of our country. So definitely some really weird things that are going on there. Folks, go ahead and give it a call back in. I know I was having a little bit of a problem earlier when I opened up the live calls, but lines are on right now. At least it looks like they are. Go ahead and give a call in. Let us know what's going on in your area. All right, let's move on with some other broadcasts and things that are happening today. Here we have the graduate unemployment. They say that the number of people who are unemployed graduating out of college is going to be closer to 25 to 35%.
Concern is, we know AI is going to transform the economy. It's going to eliminate a lot of jobs. It's also going to create some jobs downstream. What we're trying to get at is just some good data.
You're on the air with Full Spectrum Survival. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, Brad?
I'm doing real good. I'm glad you called in. What part of the country are you calling in from?
Oh, I'm from Pennsylvania, man. I just want to say thank you so much. I watch your show every day, twice daily, whenever you post it, and all the information that you give out, and you don't ask nothing for return. I really appreciate you.
No, thank you so much for being a part of the Full Spectrum family. Now, you're in Pennsylvania. I have friends that live in a little bit more of a rural area of Pennsylvania. They've got some woods around them. It takes them about 2 hours to get to Philadelphia. He said that he's starting to see, I know there's one part of Pennsylvania that has a drug problem, right?
Yes, Philadelphia and Kensington is really bad. I'm about an hour out. I'm from Lehigh Valley.
Okay, nice.
Pennsylvania.
Okay. Yeah, so that Kensington part, that's where all the streamers and everything go, and you see everybody kind of hunched over and a lot of houselessness, right?
Oh, really bad, really bad. I've been there, so I'm a truck driver. That's what I do for a living.
Awesome. Thanks for supplying the country.
So I go all part of the country and I get to see, all type of things. And, and it's really sad what's going on in Kensington. It's really, really sad.
Would you say, and my one friend, and he's a moderator here on this channel, you might see him once in a while, he lives in that rural part, and he said and I'm talking to other people too, and I'm seeing an experience of the violence and the drugs of where it used to be hot spots in areas like Kensington. It's now moving a little bit further out. Do you experienced that too, or would you say it's still just located in the hot spots?
Well, that's going on everywhere, and especially, I'm close to Allentown, like a Poconos area, around
Okay.
Poconos, and so it's really bad. There are no
Safe
such things
areas.
are drugs anymore, and it's just all fentanyl poisoning happening, and it is really really bad. They got these Narcan stations everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's paying attention to that, and it just it's sad what's going on to the
It really is
area,
sad because, I'll watch people who are deep into that addiction, and they know that a test strip for fentanyl is only $1 a strip. And a lot of times these places give them away free, but because that delusion comes over the people who are into the addictions, then they find the problem where they don't even want to test it because they know they're playing with their life every time they do it. So instead, they just don't even want to test it.
Yeah, another really weird thing, because, I had friends that was, really deep in addiction. I learned a lot. The really weird thing is, let's say if a group of friends, they go out and they get something and one of their friend ODs, right?
Yeah.
So when their friends hear about that person OD'd from that certain person substance that he was selling,
Yeah.
they actually want to go to that person to get that substance, because they think that's really good stuff.
That's just
it's
wild.
mind-boggling.
Yeah, that's
It
wild.
is wild, because they know the person just OD'd and they died, and that's that, and they want to know where did they get that substance from, and that's what they want.
That's crazy.
It's just so hard to process just to even think that way.
A lot of people hate on a lot of people hate on addicts, and I don't hate on addicts because I understand that we're in a pretty tough time in our country, and yes, addiction has always existed, and yes, there's always been people who have had hard times, but I don't hate on them because I think they were trying to self-medicate for a bigger issue. And the problem is that medication that they decided to take kills them, and it ruins their life. So I think that if we could in some way turn this country or turn this world around, and I think it's going to take a crash for that to happen, but if we could some way, I think we'd have a lot less self-harm and addiction.
You're absolutely right. And it just, it all starts somewhere. I spoke to, quite a few people in the past, and they say it all started with their simple back pain. They go into the doctor,
Right.
The doctor just gives them a little, a prescription, and next thing you know, and they want something greater and stronger. And this is how it all starts. And then, or some people get introduced by their friends, and then next thing you know, it's all downhill from there.
Yeah.
And those, those people are really broken. They're not bad people. They're just in the grip of this addiction, and they just don't know a way out. Everybody say addiction is a choice, and it's just sad. These people are, they're mentally broken.
Sure, yeah, of course.
They have, and then they get the backlash from their family members that who don't understand addiction,
Right.
and then from the community, and then they'll be like, okay, so nobody really cares about us, so this is the way of life, and this is what we're going to keep doing, and
Yeah,
so they
right.
can't do it no more.
Now, here's an interesting question for survivalism and preparedness, and that's, I think that you don't really know, because a lot of people can hide their problems, whether it's addiction problems or their behavioral problems. A lot of people hide those problems really well. And so if you're in an emergency, a long duration emergency, so things aren't getting better, if you're in that kind of emergency and you start meeting new people and possibly building a mutual assurance group, that means they'll come to help you and you'll come to help them. How do you vet those people out? How do you make sure that you're not about to be used? And I think that's one of the toughest parts of understanding that dynamic.
Okay, so it's okay. Well, so these people they actually living on the street, they're very resilient.
Oh,
they're
super
self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And it's just in community, and where somehow on day-to-day basis they find a way. It might not be the right way what they're doing,
of course,
and finding their next fix, but they're out there, they're feeding themselves, and they are living on the street. Believe it or not, I mean, if you look at the survival situation, these people are very self-sufficient. I think if the day comes when that day, it's It's not, it's when the day comes.
Right.
It's not
Yeah.
if. And these people are going to be all right. Only thing they're not going to get is their fix. But they're pretty good at surviving.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
They can live out in the cold and the heat and, with very little food, and they're still, getting through their day. It might not be the best day, but they're getting through their day. It's amazing.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's really, see, the part of the area that I live in, we do have a drug issue, but it's not that bad, and, so you really, really got to be careful and some of these people when you're in addiction, all you think about is your next fix.
Yeah, right,
so
exactly.
You're not really worried about your family or your kids or your friends or or in a survival situation that you're meeting new people. So that would be very hard situation to vet these people out because they're used to surviving. They're used to worrying about themselves.
Yeah, nobody else caring about them or thinking about them or anything.
Yeah, so you let these people into your group, so that might not be a good idea at all. Like I hate to say it that way, but that will cause you some problems. And if you get some of these people into your group, because they're going to be thinking about themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, right.
So it's sad to say, but that's just the reality, because they just don't know any other way to live.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I've got a question for you. You said you drive truck. Do you have you seen a change in freight? Have you seen a big change in just quantity, or not much change at all?
Oh my God! Listen, let's not even go there because you would think that right now we're approaching holiday season. You would think that the freight will be moving and the rates will be up higher, but it's not.
Okay.
So I used to go from Pennsylvania to Lehigh Valley to Buffalo, New York. That used to pay about $1,400. In 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
And then ever since, it's just dropped. Right now, all I'm getting is about $900 max.
Oh, geez. Okay, that's a huge change.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then it's just not there. This trucking industry is really, really, it's hurting. It used to be fun. You get in the truck and then, you out there and then you just love to, get on the road. And now it just is becoming a survival situation for including me and other truckers that are owner operators. It's the same thing. It's hitting, I don't know how much. If you have a payment on your truck, I have friends that they have payment on their truck. They're living in their truck for a month at a time.
Yeah.
And just because they want to make their payments, either they make their payments or they lose their truck and now they have nothing.
Yeah, now they're stuck with nowhere to live, no vehicle, and really, you could go from being a part of who supplies this country to on the streets in a week.
Oh my God, yes. And a lot of my friends, they got out of the trucking and now they're just working for a company. They sold their equipment and their trailers and their trucks because they just can't afford it. They had payments on their trucks, and the maintenance and the repairs. It just all adds up. So if your truck is not, only reason I'm still in the business because my equipment is paid off. I paid it off when the rates were high back in 2021.
Right.
So I don't really have any overhead, so I can I can still,
you can still run it, even though it's kind of ruining it because of the pricing.
Yes, and then another thing that I see, Brad, on the road, I see these trucks with 2 license plates. So basically, what's happening is that so they'll have a Mexico license plate,
okay,
and then they'll have the United States license plate. So when you ask these people, hey, how do you have 2 license plates? This happened not long ago.
Okay.
And they say, they live in Mexico, and then they have the major company that's in Mexico. They pay them in pesos, in Mexican money or whatever, but they're operating inside the United States, and their company's earning American dollars.
Yeah,
but
right.
They are getting paid in a different currency,
Okay.
So it's I don't know how these companies are getting away with it, but but they're really ruining the industry.
Now, do you think they're really pushing for non-legal citizens who were just basically put on the road? Do you think that that's as big of an issue as they say it is, or are they really just making news about it?
Okay, so there's one thing, there's a non-citizen, and then there's another thing, they don't speak the language. They don't understand the rules.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking about non-citizens, not just people who don't speak English.
So all those people that they let in, they have these. I don't know how they got their, licenses. So they flooded. So there was a thing. They said we are short on drivers. We're short on drivers.
Right, right.
That wasn't true. We were never really short on drivers. So
they were short on cheap drivers.
Cheap, exactly. Yeah. They were short on people that will take the freight next to nothing.
Right.
And that's the problem was, and now we here we are, and these just, I mean, they are weeding it out. They are on the inspection station. I got a DOT inspection not long ago,
Okay.
So just me having a conversation with the officer, he knew that I speak English, and all that right away.
Yeah.
And and I asked him, I say, hey, how's it going? Like, are you guys really enforcing that? You have to, ask the driver, these questions. So he was like, yeah, come outside. Let me show you something. He took me to his cruiser, and he showed me it's like 40 signs. So if they suspect a driver that's not speaking English,
yeah.
So they got identified like 5 signs out of like 40 signs that they're,
like street signs,
and if you
right?
fail to, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So if you fail to, I believe out of the 5, you have to identify, I think 3, I believe. You can get 2 wrong. So if you fail any of those, and right away they're going to put you out of service and they're going to call your company to come get your truck.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's a real thing, and it is happening out there, and they are weeding out the people, and they're also, flagging people. Those are non-citizen, and they are, they don't even have a work permit, and they don't even know how these companies are giving these drivers a job.
Right.
So there's a lot happening in the trucking industry, and it doesn't, the media, the mainstream media don't cover it,
Yeah, exactly.
It does not cover it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I appreciate you calling in so much, man. We learned a lot. The entire community learned a lot today just from your calling, and I think that's what's really important. So I just want to thank you for that.
Brad, I want to thank you, and and I tell all my friends, because they're always wondering where I'm getting this information from, because I watch your channel all the time, and I tell them, hey,
awesome.
This is what's happening, yeah. So it's just great, and and then they'll watch you. I'll send them your video, I share it with them, and it's just great, man. What you're doing for the community, all the information, and you ask nothing in return. That's great. You really, I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, man. Much respect back to you. Don't hesitate. Next time we do a live, please call in.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank
Very
you.
nice speaking
Have a good
to you,
night.
man. Always wanted to do it. Thank you.
Thanks.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Well, thanks so much. We had 2 super chats that went through. Let me go ahead and get back to them here. We had one from, this was Hauntastic. Hauntastic158 says, thank you, Brad and Kelly. Love you both and your family. All you have given me the ability to save my family. That's absolutely awesome. When COVID struck and I told everybody, you better go get your food now. And then they didn't have to go get their food. And when the SNAP problems are coming, I tell people, go get your food now. You're just prepaying it. And I told a lot of people, if you have a little extra cash, to please go get your food now before the prices go up higher. And you'll have no idea how many people have called in and told me or sent me an email and said, you know what, I saved myself 20% off of my next grocery bill just because I was able to pre-purchase. So thank you guys so much for, just being a part of the community and, sticking it true. German Shepherd, thank you for the super chat. So much love here in the community. That last call-in was awesome. I'm going to go ahead and open back up the phone line, but that last call-in was amazing because a trucker, which we hear about the trucker issues right now, somebody who lives and has seen multiple states, absolutely awesome. You're on the air with Full Spectrum Survival. How are you?
Awesome. I'm from Arizona. Pleasure to be on the air with you.
Arizona, glad to have you.
Mentioned before. Yeah, you had mentioned before the last caller that people were having trouble getting jobs coming out of college. I have 2 twins graduating in December.
Okay.
And they're both probably going to be ending up working for professors because they're really good students.
Awesome.
So what I wanted to bring up was European, Indian, and Chinese students do their first 2 years in their home country, and then they come to this country for the easy last 2 years.
Okay, good point. Yeah, I didn't even think of that dynamic of it.
That's what they're doing. And my kids got chastised for not reining in the people in their groups who weren't doing the work.
Okay. Yeah, so well, I am, first of all, glad to hear that they're able to get into a position afterward. I wonder if you ask them in the future, what's their peers like? Did they excel? And I think that's really what happens here is you're going to find those breakouts, and those breakouts are like your children who excelled at what they do, had a drive to do it. But I think if we step back 5 or 10 years, you were almost at least near guaranteed better pay or better work somewhere if you would have gotten a degree. And I think that's what we're seeing is the decline in that guarantee. There's still breakouts like your kids, but for the general populace, if they're not really invested into that, then they don't get anywhere.
Yeah, but my point is my kids had to babysit the foreign students.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, isn't that wild? And,
Yeah.
And it's not stopping either. We're going to keep seeing that to some degree. And I have a problem with what our president, Donald Trump, had just mentioned recently. He made some deals with Saudi Arabia. He said that we're going to need to bring the Saudis over. He made deals with South Korea. He said we're going to have to bring the South Koreans over. He made deals with India, said we're going to have to bring the Indians over. And that was disrespectful, I think, to our citizens because there was an admission of sorts that the people in our country aren't smart enough, aren't technologically aware enough, or don't have the ability to quickly learn that skill. But I think instead it was just about politics and money.
Yeah, and Trump wanted to bring in 600,000 Chinese students as well.
Right.
Which I find absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm all for this country being able. I think that we are a very able country. And I think that we could right now not have anybody who wasn't a guest in this country, and we could still thrive as a nation. Now, I am for guests in this country, but I treat it like a house, right? My friends, they can come over, but if they're not respectful to the household, then it's time for them to go. Or if they're taking away from the household, then it's time for them to go. And so I think that that's kind of where we're at.
Exactly. Well, it was great talking to you. I got to go eat my meatloaf.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you called in. Have a good night.
Love to talk to you.
Yep, you too. Thanks. That's awesome, guys. So please, I'm going to go ahead and open back up the call-in line. You see on the news page behind me, as soon as they started pushing Snap, I told you that this was coming. You're on the air with Full Spectrum Survival. How are you?
Hey, buddy. Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing real good. Thanks for asking. What part of the country are you calling in from?
Arizona.
That's our first time on a live show having two people call in from the same state. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So, hey, just wanted to ask what you think about primitive skills kind of being the focus of preparedness.
Okay, great question. Because me and my oldest brother, we got our start in enjoying survivalism and just enjoying the part of it with bushcraft. And I've been around enough to know, do you remember Ray Mears' bushcraft?
Of course.
Okay, Ray Mears was one of the originals, in my opinion. Before him was Dick Prenicky, who did the Alone in the Wilderness series. And these people were really pioneers in primitive skills and bushcrafting. And I used to enjoy just looking through, the National Geographics and everything else just to see how it was done. And even still today, if you come into my house, what we're watching is not some sort of brain fog show on YouTube. Instead, we're watching people live in the woods in other countries like Nepal or the Philippines, places like that. So primitive is very important to me because that should always be step one, in my opinion. I think that no matter what happens, if you don't have the ability to follow those rules of three, that's 3 moments to defend yourself. So that means you better make yourself some sort of spear or edge tool or club or something. You have 3 minutes you can live without oxygen. And they found out that smacking somebody's chest when they fell down or passed out was a great way to bring them back way before doctors ever called it CPR. So you got 3 minutes without oxygen, 3 hours in inclement weather. Well, their primitive skills come in. Build your own teepee, build your own debris shelter. You've got 3 days without water, primitive skills again. You know how to start a fire. You know how to gather water. You can dig out a bowl to gather your water in. And then 3 weeks without food, and you better know how to trap.
Yeah. The only thing I'll add to that is, man, you get out to Phoenix where it's 118 degrees, you're looking at less than an hour of dehydration.
Okay, I feel that.
It's brutal. It's brutal. But then again, folks that are from the desert that get out where are you? You're in the Midwest, right?
No, we're in the South. So Georgia, Alabama, right at the bottom edge of Tennessee.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, you get all that humidity. Desert folks out there, they'll dehydrate within the first hour.
Yeah, right.
And then, I guess my question is to you, I've been practicing primitive skills and wilderness living almost my whole life. I'm a 38-year-old guy now.
Nice.
But out in the desert landscape, and I spent time in Tennessee, Texas, Kentucky. Out there, y'all have water everywhere, but out here, water is so scarce.
Yeah.
And I just worry, you get some event that happens, and a lot of people, their instinct and their human primal instinct is to take to the landscape.
Right.
Number one, they're going to wipe out the animal population, and then number two, they're going to drink every bit of water we have dry out here.
No, you're right. Without modern industrialization and them through infrastructure moving water to people, they're going to find themselves, if they don't live nearby streams, nearby areas like that, and then you've got a problem. Who's going to dam it up the hill to get something better, or who's going to poison that water up the hill? So I think that water absolutely is important, as you know from being in Arizona. Are you in a heavily populated area or a more rural area?
I'm kind of in the middle. It's a growing town. I used to live out here in north central Arizona when it was a small area, and it's pretty much exploded in population. So it's growing pretty heavily. It's a heavy retirement community, but I've mapped out places that have really good water supply that are kind of off the Verde River and are natural spring fed. And of course, we all know, living in the desert, the water areas are where you're going to find the life. You're going to find, food. You're going to find medicine. You're going to find building materials.
Right.
And the prehistoric civilizations out here, they built around those areas.
Exactly.
I mean, they built on the high mesa tops and the high mountain tops, and everywhere you look, they had some kind of stream flow or creek flow. But those have since gone dry. So, it's always in the back of my head, water. It's such a problem. But man, in the South and the mid-South, Southeast, y'all have water everywhere.
That's true. Very fortunate.
And it's nice out there because I feel like you get out in East Tennessee and into the Smoky Mountains and that area, man, you've got everything you need. You've got building materials. You've got bow wood all over the place. You've got edible and medicinal plants, water out of every creek, out of every mountainside. So, it's kind of a blessing being out there, but I don't want to take up any much of your time.
I appreciate you
might have seen. Yeah, you might have seen my channel. I've been following you for a while.
Put it down there, please.
Yeah, it's I'll put it in the comments. I don't want to detour any of your.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, I don't mind. What's the name of the channel?
Yeah, Primitive Lifeways.
Primitive Lifeways. Okay, and I'm actually going to, hopefully I can find it here. What's the Lifeways? What's the background image? Is it you with a hunting bow? Is that one and a star? Is that the
yeah, it's kind of this weird star-looking thing,
like an Indian or kind of like a tribal star.
Yeah, it's actually a prehistoric pottery vessel that we found out in Tucson years and years ago.
Oh, I love that
design.
Okay, that's awesome. So, yeah, I just put your channel in the chat. I hope everyone goes and checks it out. For anybody who's kind of watching this and doesn't want to click away, yeah, some great flint knapping videos. Some great pottery. We are rich in natural clay where I'm at, which is awesome. So we build our own adobe ovens. We build our own clay stuff. How to make a Navajo bow. Yeah, you've got a great channel there. So that's awesome. I can't wait to look through it.
Well, I appreciate it, Brad. And, your viewers stay on this video. Don't go to my channel. He's got some good information. And then last thing I wanted to do is shout out my Uncle Robert BRB. He watches your stuff all the time.
Hey, Uncle Robert, we're glad to hear about you today.
You take care, sir.
Thank you.
Have a great
rest
of your week and have a great Turkey Day.
Thanks, you too. That's awesome, folks. Yeah, pulling all those parts together: survivalism, preparedness, bushcraft. You've got urban survival, city survival. You really have all those different parts. Hey, Uncle Robert, somebody said.
Hi.
You're on the air with Full Spectrum Survival. How are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing real good. What part of the country are you calling in from?
I'm from Cedar City, Utah.
Utah, that's awesome. How are you?
Master hunter-gatherers.
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing real good. So what do you see happening? What was really extreme that you saw happening in the last week? Was there anything that you were like, okay, that's definitely a change of things?
The whole Muslim thing that's been going on in Dearborn, Michigan.
Okay. Yeah, that's been on my radar for quite a while. And what's interesting, what even gets more on my radar than the understanding now that this is maybe an issue, what's even higher on my radar is I watched some scholars from their world, watched some scholars discuss how this was now they changed it from a violent takeover of the Western world to a soft takeover. And when you step back and you see that, you can go, okay, wow, this is really a forced change that is happening.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's almost like being a Christian is getting to be a problem.
And also, not just that, the fact that I'm watching city council people go out and they'll stop people from discussing prayer. You can't walk around with a Bible and try to tell people. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, and it has to be that way or we have a problem. So I think that's really what gets my grip right now, is that I see a problem because what's good for the goose is no longer good for the gander. There's lots of inclusion when it's away from certain values. And that really gets me. I mean, I'm all for it. Hey, you do whatever you want to do. But for me, you can't force nothing down my throat, and I can't force nothing down your throat. But instead, we're all getting throat gagged by this.
Yes, sir.
So in Michigan, if anybody doesn't know, Dearborn especially, soon to be New York City, in these areas, there's a real shift that is taking place. And with this shift, it is a very forced cultural change. And what's strange to me is it's not the culture that we were allowing through the open borders. It's a whole different culture. And in one time period, like a 48-hour period, there were dozens and dozens of people of certain backgrounds with certain sectarian values that were instantly elected, or if you want to add an S onto that, selected to be put into political office. And they just started ramming change down the throats of the American people. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right that was a little bit of an extreme thing happening.
Yeah, it happened overnight.
Really, I know.
It seemed like it happened so fast. We went from being a normal Christian community to now, if you say anything bad about Muslims or Islamic religion at all, you're a bad guy.
Yeah, and for me, my opinion personally is that, hey, people can do whatever they want. I don't really care who you're for or what your background is, because you got to take that up with your maker. But for me,
yeah,
you should be able to openly engage in discussion, and I should be allowed to have my views, and you should be allowed to have yours. You can't force yours on me, and I'm not forcing mine on yours, and that's the American way.
Exactly. And it used to be everybody got along.
Exactly.
Like Republicans and Democrats could be friends.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And now I know. Like it's not like that anymore.
No, now it's people literally hate each other. And I don't mean hate as a passive word. I mean they actually hate each other for their viewpoint.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. What's your point of view on this?
50 years old.
What's that?
I never thought I've said I'm almost 50 years old.
Nice.
And the things that were being taught to us when I was a child are now not even being discussed.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, like I have a grandson that's in the 6th grade, and if it wasn't for me and his grandmother teaching him the Pledge of Allegiance,
it'd be crazy.
He would have never learned it.
Yeah, not just that, the thought of the Pledge of Allegiance is now taught to be like you're doing something wrong. They have criminalized and demonized it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
you're allowed to be anything you want, just as long as you're not an American.
Yeah, well, yeah, that and a couple other things.
Yeah.
You can't teach any traditional values. Your wife can't like to cook. Those things are very out the book.
Right.
Well, I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good night. Yeah, guys, this country is surely changing, and I don't think we're going to see a change for the better until there's a general realization in our nation that we've done something wrong. You're calling into Full Spectrum Survival. You're live on the air. How are you?
Yes, sir. I love everything you do, Brad.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
And I'm actually watching you right now. I got to put you on mute.
Okay. Yeah. There's one thing, as someone who makes videos, I really hate to hear my own voice. So I appreciate you doing that.
But no, I work at a marine terminal that brings in and out fertilizers for the fields and the farms and everything like that.
Okay.
And according to what I've been hearing, some of the fertilizers are going to be doubling in price coming as January 1st.
January 1st is a good pinpoint for us to be able to make some moves, because if anyone has a homestead or they have a garden, now's the time to think of natural alternatives. Now, I know you're seeing it on a huge scale. You're seeing the farms that are actually getting this stuff in, because you're probably talking about just thousands of tons, right?
Oh, yes. I'm talking like 9,000 acres of farmland.
Yeah.
Of materials that need to be distributed across. And the tariff actually did affect us at one point in time.
Okay.
Because a customer that ports into our terminal actually lost a lot of money because they didn't get it before the tariff hit.
Okay, so they're starting to
it
take
was
a knock.
for it was agricultural lime.
Okay.
And it's supposed to balance the pH in the soils. I'm in North Carolina, and we port to North Carolina and South Carolina.
Now, I've got a question. You see the actual supply coming in. Is there less movement in fertilizers, or is it the same quantity and just a higher price?
No, I'm actually the front end loader. I load the trucks.
Okay, nice.
And it has definitely picked up a lot more.
Okay.
Since the tariffs have hit.
Okay, so you see more fertilizer on the move.
Yes.
Okay, well that's good for American agriculture. What's bad for us is that you and I will be paying higher prices when we get the end product.
And that's the exact problem, is because it's ported from other countries, right. And that's why they're getting tariffs hit on them.
Yeah, I don't really know, other than somebody in the chat said regenerative farming. As far as individuals like survivalists, preparedness people, I think that we really have to focus on what we can do to remineralize our own soil. Because if you're looking at the long term, I think, in my opinion, every tomato that you can grow matters. Every cob of corn matters, because you're offsetting the price. And like you said, prices are about to go up.
Yes, I 100% agree. And since we're exporting from other countries, this is hurting us even more.
Yeah.
But some of the materials that we get from them, we can't get here, is the issue.
Okay. Tell me, like what? Anything in particular?
Urea nitrate is one of them. And that's a big one for farming fields.
Okay.
Lime is another one that one got hit pretty hard during the tariffs. I believe that came from Kenya, I believe. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay. Sure, babe. Now, do you see country of origin when you load it, or you'll have to dig deep to see that?
No, we can actually see where the vessel is coming from.
Okay.
If you look at the port name, where it came from, and to us, you can look at the marine radar or marine tracker. You can see where it came from to where we get it.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I appreciate you calling in and kind of giving us that heads up, because that's one thing that I know is our prices pretty much across the board, especially for the food that we eat, are about to, and there's no shortage of understanding that the farmers are going to raise their price. Then the retailer is going to see the farmer raising their price, and they're going to double up on that and raise their price even higher. So I think we're really about to get smacked with a real cost of feeding ourselves issue.
Yes, that's why I 100% believe in everything that you say, that we should be self-supportive and do our own research and farming for ourselves.
Yeah.
But I greatly appreciate you, and thank you for having me on tonight.
Hey, thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate what you do to keep the people of the United States of America fed by moving that through.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a good night. Well, guys, that really shows you. I mean, you're talking to people, you're talking to truckers here on these live show call-ins. We're talking to people who are moving fertilizer that's going to make it over to the, you see Kelly, she is feeding we have a we have a monitor here. Let me see if I can zoom in so you can see her feeding it. Yeah, he's almost done, but he's right back here eating chicken liver. This guy eats so much that he's going to probably triple in size by the time you see him next. But what we're doing is socializing him. And socializing is really just another way to say training. But these guys are very intelligent. Any monitor lizard, extremely intelligent. They really want to know their surroundings. They're strong enough in who they are, especially if they get up to 50, 70 pounds. They are beasts. And I respect intelligent creatures. That's why I respect like German Shepherds, Malinois. I respect Dobermans. I respect all the intelligent creatures. Cats also. We got a ton of cats out there. I respect intelligence. And so that's just kind of one of the things that we're into. We cook at eggs. We do all the different things. We're breeding our own mice and rats for the feeders for it so that we don't, crickets, Kelly said, roaches also, which she hated at first, but now she is okay with. We're doing that to remain self-sufficient. So thank you so much, Jeremy, for that super chat, $19.99. Thank you. If you have anything to say, please put it down there in the comments down below. I'm going to go ahead and open up the super chat, or not the super chat. I'm going to open up the live call-ins. My cat is a chicken cat. She's afraid of everything. Well, that's okay. Maybe she was traumatized by something. You're on the air with Full Spectrum Survival. How are you?
Brad, no way. This is a dream come true. I'm doing great. How are you?
No, man, it's my dream come true. I'm glad you called in tonight. How are you?
Thank you, sir. Doing well. Greetings from San Diego. We got some rain going on. A little
nice.
Cool.
Nice.
How you guys doing?
We're doing real good. We're in the South, so we're going through our rainy spell, but we have been rather droughty recently. You're in San Diego or near San Diego. Could you kind of give the viewers an idea of what life is like? People outside of the state, they just see the bad or the great on the news. They don't get to see what life's really like. What, from a preparedness or a survival point of view, is crime bad? Is drug use bad? Are the politicians bad? Kind of give me your heads up.
Great question. I'll go backwards with the politicians.
Okay.
Obviously, it's going to matter if blue or red. Right now, we got a blue guy in there, Mayor Gloria, and basically the taxpayers, we're paying for basically $1 million a mile for bike lanes. Every place has become a bike lane. Businesses are suffering due to the fact that parking is no longer available. So in one area of San Diego, let's say North Park, 500 parking spots disappear. So what happens? All the cars have to drive into more residential park. So it becomes a cluster, you know what?
Yeah.
And it's just expected. Our taxes are going up. I mean, the weather's nice. The people are nice. Obviously, we have a big military community here.
Nice.
But the politics, it's pretty purple, if not blue. And that does make it a pretty big difference these days. So
what's your cost of living like? Are people suffering because of the cost of living, or are people generally untouched?
No. Well, great question. I think, and I have no way of determining this number I'm going to say, but 80% maybe, month to month living or paycheck to paycheck, as they say, and maybe the 20% living in, the coastal areas and the bigger homes, maybe doing better.
Yeah. Okay.
Drug use and homelessness is huge in California. There are no-go zones in San Diego.
What does that mean?
Town area. No-go zones, you don't want to walk, by yourself. You don't want to go there. No-go zone historically is a place that, cops won't go into unless they really, really have to.
Okay.
They just kind of almost Skid Row in Los Angeles. So we have those areas as well. So it's changed. 16 years, Brad, and it's not completely downhill, but it's a little. You do see a lot of homeless people, a lot.
Okay, and I think that your generalized number of 80-20 is actually pretty much spot on from what I have seen. 80% of the people are suffering. And I think that anytime they give the numbers of, 65% of the people are living month to month, I always think it's worse than that, because politicians and the media, when they say something's good, it's usually worse. And when they say something's bad, it's usually even worse. And so I think that 80% is probably pretty solid. Honestly, I don't know very many people who are not affected negatively. A couple of people who have very specific jobs or very specific areas of work that they've made more money, and I'm really happy for them. But for the most, it's hard times out there.
Yes. Correct. Brad, I just wanted to say that I've been listening to you since COVID popped off. My antennas went up hardcore end of November 2019, as soon as I heard the word COVID.
Okay.
I just locked in. I mean, I had a Twitter account, but never followed it. But I jumped into everything, and I've been following you guys since. And just, I'm so grateful that you're there. I do have a question for you.
Sure.
May I ask? You just seem to me, every time I listen to you, extremely intelligent, great orator, great speaker.
Thanks.
You just remind me, I don't know why, but when you were young, like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, were you reading a lot of books? Like, you seem like the guy that, like a friend I used to have that would go through, a book a week, just constantly reading. Is that something you did? I know it's a personal question, forgive me, but it's just.
No, I'm here for it. Yeah, I'm here for it. Yeah, so I was always gathering information. I wouldn't say specifically books. The things that I really loved book-wise was the outdoors, the ways of life. Even at that age group, I remember specifically having a couple of camping books. So I was never in the Boy Scouts, but I always had the manuals. I would have all the camping, all the kind of like basic survival stuff. And then I was very interested in history. And I think maybe that's what keyed me into a lot of these patterns. You can even see it as a kid. A lot of these patterns are repeating themselves.
Mm-hmm. Like fourth turning kind of stuff.
Yeah. Or, a lot of people are into kind of the simulation theory, or the parallel universe theory. And I think that we're just kind of one way or the other. We are destined as human beings to repeat our mistakes.
Yes. And certain times, like I'll talk to people and, jealousy and anger and love and all these things. If we went back 1,000 years and jumped into the medieval times or whatever that was, those people were all the same people throughout history.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know what really gets me is the lookalikes. So you'll have someone 100 years ago, 200 years ago, and then very similar personality in someone who looks almost identical. You would think it was their doppelganger today. Yeah, that's wild. And how media like Hollywood, they actually co-opt that. And so they pull on those individuals, whether it's because there's some sort of hidden or less understood psychological perception of that individual, or whether they're playing a different game than we're playing.
And I absolutely, Brad, 100% agree. Just one thing I want to say, I don't want to take up too much of your time or the listeners' time, but just for years and years, like I've been prepping for about 15 years now.
Awesome.
Believe it or not, Alex Jones got me started.
Oh man, Jones, I don't mind Jones at all. You know, I always like his kind of crazy. I like to listen to that.
Yeah. And you know what it is? It's like a coach putting you in the game, and,
right.
and you're like, sometimes I listen to you and I'm like, all right, coach, tell me what to do, because we need that sometimes. We can't sugarcoat everything. We do need that kick in the butt sometimes. And I don't want to say like fear, but fear is good. It helps us survive.
It's a motivator. Yeah, you only have two motivators: fear of loss or hope for gain. And that's why I think prepping it really blends those together, because you have the fear of loss of what if you don't prepare, and then you have the gain if you do prepare.
Yep. And I just wanted to say one last thing, and I brought up the whole prepping thing, but for years and years, I always felt, I'm 48 years old now. I just turned 48,
nice.
But I
Congratulations.
feel, thank you. I feel that when the time comes and it gets, bad, let's call, SHTF, or I think it's going to be 3 weeks of just not good, real bad. And it's going to take 3 months to kind of rebuild after that. So anyone listening, I mean, today's, it's late now, but tomorrow morning is a great day. Just get at least, I know 6 months is good, a year is good, but get something, guys. Water, canned goods. I mean, Brad goes over this all the time, but I just think it's going to be 3 weeks of no bueno,
yeah.
and then 3 months to kind of,
normalize
get our bearings. Yeah, in 3 weeks, a lot can go wrong there. In 3 days, I mean, day one, everyone's drinking up their booze, singing Kumbaya. Day two is when the looting starts. So be prepared to stay home. That's all I got to say.
Oh, man, that's great motivation for everybody. I really appreciate that. And I think that's pretty steady. Three days of chaos, then 3 weeks of, 3 days until the chaos really hits. Then you've got 3 weeks of absolute madness. And then you start to normalize it as the months go on. That doesn't mean you're back to normal. It just means you're normalizing the new reality.
Yes. Yeah. But it's just that, people get ready. That's all I got to say, Brad. And you're my coach. I appreciate you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Mad respect, family, and everything like that. I don't want to take up too much of your time, brother.
No, thank you for calling in. I appreciate you. I hope you have a good night tonight.
Thank you, sir. You too.
Thanks. Well, guys, that's awesome. So he had a really good point, and he was talking about Jonesy there, and he said Jonesy was like that coach that's really getting your head in the game. And I think that that's important, because Jones, the coach at a football game, that's his life. And his life is to make you fight for that win like it's life and death. And yes, it's just football, or yes, it's just baseball. But that coach, his job is to really make you believe and feel and be motivated that what you do on that field that day lasts forever. And I think that's what's so important about survival and preparedness. So guys, thank you so much for being here. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this live show, but I want to do it. I think it'd be too much to do it daily. Maybe sometime in the future we could do that daily, but I really like popping in on these and doing them a couple of times a week, because every viewer that called in tonight, every one of you in our family here, you helped us. You're a part of somebody else's survival, because something that was said tonight is going to touch the heart or the mind of somebody who listened, and they're going to say, you know what, I am going to go tomorrow and get some food. Or I now understand that fertilizer is a problem, and I'm going to go tomorrow and get my plan started. So thank you guys so much for each one of those call-ins, and for everybody being here tonight and just being a great part of this community. You are what makes it awesome. From my family to yours, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. Much love from all of us to each one of yours and your family, and Uncle Robert out there. I remember his name, Uncle Robert. Big shout out to you, and just everybody in the chat. Thank you guys all for the super chat and just all the love that you have for each other. Stay safe, and as always, keep watch.